Your toddler is not anxious because something is wrong with them. They are anxious because something in their environment is teaching them to be. And the hardest word in that sentence is teaching, because nobody is doing this on purpose. Nobody is sitting down and deciding to wire fear into a 2-year-old's nervous system. It happens in the ordinary moments, the completely reasonable, completely well-intentioned moments that make up the fabric of daily life with a small child. That is what makes this list uncomfortable. These are not the habits of neglectful parents. These are the habits of parents who are trying, who are present, who love their children and are doing everything they know how to do, and who are, without knowing it, doing a handful of things that developmental psychologists now understand to be consistently associated with elevated anxiety in toddlers. By number 4, you will have recognized yourself at least twice. This is not about guilt. It is about the gap between intention and impact. 1. Preparing them for everything. You tell them what is coming, the doctor's appointment, the new babysitter. You explain it in advance because you are a thoughtful parent who respects your child's need to feel prepared. This is good parenting, except when it is not. Researchers at the University of Reading studying anxiety transmission in toddlers found a consistent pattern. Children whose parents provided high levels of advance warning about mildly stressful events showed elevated anticipatory anxiety compared to children given minimal warning. The warning itself was not the problem, the framing was. The toddler brain cannot hold future time the way adult brains can. 3 days of advance warning does not give them 3 days to adjust. It gives them 3 days to catastrophize with a nervous system that does not yet have the architecture to stop. Preparation helps. Same day, close to the moment. After lunch today, not Thursday. 2. Asking how they feel about everything. You check in. Are you nervous about the party? Did anything make you sad today? And this comes from exactly the right place. But a landmark study from Florida State University found that excessive emotional check-ins, particularly questions framed around negative emotional states, trained toddlers to scan their internal experience for distress. The question itself was teaching them what to look for, and what they were being taught to look for was fear. You do not need to stop talking to your toddler about emotions. You need to let them bring it to you more than you bring it to them. Reflect what you see. Do not mind for what you suspect. 3. Fixing it. The block tower fell. The sock feels wrong. And you help immediately, efficiently, lovingly, because you can fix it in 10 seconds, and there's no reason a 3-year-old should be upset about a sock when you were standing right there. Researchers at the University of California, Berkeley, found that immediate problem-solving, fixing the situation rather than tolerating the distress about the situation, was one of the most consistent predictors of elevated anxiety in children aged 2 to 5. Not because it teaches helplessness, although it does some of that, because it teaches them that distress is intolerable, that the goal is to make the bad feelings stop as fast as possible. And that lesson, learned early and reinforced constantly, produces adults who cannot sit with discomfort for more than seconds without reaching for something to make it stop. Sit next to the distress before you solve it. 2 minutes of, "That feels so frustrating. I can see how upset you are." Before you fix the sock, build something that fixing the sock in 10 seconds dismantles. 4. Whispering when things are hard. Something stressful is happening in the house, and you are careful. You lower your voice. You spell things out. You wait until they're in bed. You protect them completely. Here's what happens anyway. Toddlers are exquisitely calibrated to detect the gap between what adults say and what adults feel. The lowered voice is a signal. The spelling is a signal. The looks exchanged over their heads is a signal. They cannot understand the content, they understand the texture. And the texture says, something is wrong and the adults are hiding it from me. The unknown threat is always larger than the named one. You do not need to explain adult problems to a toddler. You need to name the emotional atmosphere in terms they can hold. The grown-ups are a little worried about something right now. It has nothing to do with you. We're handling it. That sentence closes the gap between what they sense and what they're told, and closing that gap is where anxiety lives or does not. 5. Telling them they're brave. Before the needle, before the first day, before the scary thing, you say it with love. You're so brave. But research from the University of Amsterdam on anxiety language in early childhood found that labeling a child as brave before a challenging event consistently elevated stress markers compared to neutral preparation. Because brave means there's something to be brave about. The label itself is communicating the size of the threat. What lowers anticipatory anxiety is normalizing rather than heroizing. Lots of kids do this. It takes a second. Save brave for after. Retrospective courage builds confidence. Prospective courage builds dread. 6. Never letting them see you anxious. You manage it in front of them. You perform calm. And this is thoughtful. And it is partially right. And it is also, in a very specific way, making things worse. Researchers at Harvard Medical School found that children of anxious parents who never witnessed their parent manage anxiety showed higher anxiety than children who witnessed their parent experience anxiety and then regulate it. The absence of the anxious moment was not protective. It was instructive in the wrong direction. What those children never saw was the most important part, that anxiety arrives and passes and is survivable. You do not need to perform anxiety for your toddler, but you are allowed to be briefly human in front of them. That made me nervous for a second. I took a breath. I feel better now. That sentence shows them the whole arc, not just the feeling, the recovery. 7. Using the future as a reward. If you're good, we will go to the park. If you stop crying, you can have a story. When the present is constantly a means to a future reward, the present becomes something to get through. And the architecture of that belief, present equals obstacle, future equals safety, is one of the earliest and most durable blueprints for anxiety that developmental psychologists have identified. Anxious adults don't live in the present. They live in constant anticipation of the next thing, the safer thing, the better thing that is coming if they just manage the current moment correctly. That blueprint was rarely drawn in adolescence. It was drawn on an ordinary Tuesday when they were 3. The good thing can be now. None of these habits make you a bad parent. They make you a human one. The research is not asking for perfection. It is asking for awareness. Because the moment you understand what is happening inside your toddler's nervous system in these ordinary moments, you'll find yourself making slightly different choices. Not all the time, not perfectly, but enough. And with a toddler, enough is everything. Subscribe. Every week, the science behind what your child is actually experiencing.